All right, guys, there is one skill that you need to know that you probably don't have that will make you successful in SMMA. And I can pretty much guarantee that. I've spoken to hundreds of social media marketing agency owners, and this skill is what separates the boys from the men, so to speak. And it's also the reason guys like Charlie Morgan and Imran Ghazi are so successful. So if you're struggling to close out your clients and actually get them over the line, then you need to watch this. Okay, so for those who don't know who I am Uncle Jimmy. That's what everyone calls me. I help with SMMA service delivery over at Easy Grow. I'm a coach over there. I also do consulting and I have a Google Ads course if anyone's interested, but I'm really here to shoot straight and help you succeed in the SMMA space. So what is this magic bullet that I'm talking about? It's the ability to speak. And I know that sounds simple, but let me break that down and tell you why you are probably not doing a very good job of that. So the ability to speak is an innately human thing, right? We all know how to speak, but there are people out there, much like myself, Charlie Morgan, guys like that, that can speak in a certain way that can influence decisions. And I would argue, and I want you to critically think about yourself. Uncle Jimmy's here to help. I'm not here to sugarcoat. Do you speak in a way that builds trust? And if you don't speak in a way that builds trust and you don't use inflection and you're using bro in your sentences and things like that, that's probably why you're not closing out deals. And that's probably why your SMMA is not succeeding. So how do you get good at talking? How do you get to the point where you can talk like I am, where I can just riff off for 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, or Charlie Morgan with his soothing baritones, or guys like Imran Ghazi that just have the gift of the gab? I can tell you straight away that not everyone has it as a natural skill. If you go back in time and look at some of the videos on my Facebook page for my agency, My Online Guy, you can see that I wasn't as good at talking as I am now. So you're wondering, how did I get so good at talking? Well, it's practice. And I know a lot of you guys are going to go, bro, I already know that. Let me explain how to practice so that you actually can get to the point where you can speak like someone like me. So what I did when I first started learning how to sell, which was way back in the dawn of time when I used to work in agriculture selling harvesters. You know, a harvester is $1 million machine and we only got 20 shots a year to sell them to farmers. So you have to be good at selling to sell agricultural machinery just because the brands are so similar. So when I first moved into that space, I did a lot of training on sales to hone the craft. People don't realize that sales is a technical skill and you can't just like wing into it. There's people that sell really well and there's people that don't. It's a binary thing. And so I wanted to make sure that I made the most of the potential revenue I could make by selling machines, by getting good at selling. So what did I do? I moved into agriculture and I knew nothing about machinery. But what I did is I basically turned Loom on, and you should really know what Loom is. But if you don't, it's a screen recording software, much like how I'm talking to you guys now. And I basically got on there and I picked a topic. So with the harvesters, for instance, I said, okay, let's talk about the front of the harvester. I knew nothing about it. So I did a little bit of research beforehand and I would get on there and talk to myself. And I would just talk to myself for hours, literally on a loom, watching myself talk, listening to my inflection and then rinse and repeat. And then when I moved into the digital and marketing space, I did the same thing. I knew nothing about SEO when I started. I knew nothing about Facebook ads when I started. So what I would do is I would pick a topic like, okay, creating copy for ads. I'd pick that topic, I'd learn a little bit about it, and then I would talk to myself for 15, 20 minutes about Facebook ads and about copy and about the different things that I'd learned along the way. And what that does, this is the secret to it, guys. And if you got to this point, I'm about to open the kimono and show you the secret to why this works. The reason it works is because a lot of you guys hate the sound of your own voice. And I know in society, it sounds arrogant to say you like the sound of your own voice, but I tell you what, anyone that's successful at sales or talking in that matter, politicians, whatever, enjoy the sound of their own voice. Now, how do you get to the point where you enjoy the sound of your own voice? Well, you talk a lot. And you reflect back and you hear what you're saying. So that's why Loom works so well, because if you go and talk to it and then listen back to it, you start to hear your own voice. You start to hear where you use inflection. You start to hear where you use spacing, and you start to improve that instinctually as you start to talk. So you can see I talk with a lot of inflection. I talk with a lot of presence. I talk with a lot of enthusiasm. I talk with my hands. That is all just practice talking to myself. Because if you can hear yourself talk and you learn to listen to yourself when you talk, what happens is you start to get the feedback loop between your mouth and your bloody ears. So you hear yourself talk and you go, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. So I'm going to change my inflection midway through the conversation. If you can't do that, then you can't build trust. I'm sorry. If you just read off a script and you go, hi, it's okay, let's use this as an example. Hi, I'm Jimmy, and I'm here to teach you about SMMA. SMMA is really awesome, but I don't think it's for everyone. How boring. I don't pass on in trust. Where it's like, hi, I'm Jimmy from My Online Guy, and I'm here to teach you about SMMA. SMMA is really good if you really enjoy doing XYZ. You see the difference inflection and tonality and pacing of your conversations actually makes? This is why it's so important to learn how to speak. And they don't teach this at school. If you're not willing to learn how to speak and really practice inflection, tone, pacing, spacing, pauses, if you're not willing to practice that stuff, then someone like myself is going to look like an absolute baller when I go and talk to your client and go, oh, you're working with that guy. It's like, oh yeah, we don't really click. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, like blah, 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 blah. You're going to lose them to me every day of the week. So if you're not willing to put in that effort to improve your tone, and like I said, I speak to a lot of SMMA owners, and a lot of them say they're going to do this stuff and don't do it. And it's like I said at the start, it's what separates the boys from the men. If you're willing to put in the effort and go, yeah, it's not learning Facebook ads, I don't need to know it. If you go and change your mindset and go, this is just as important as learning how to do copy and create copy, is learning how to speak. Trust me, Uncle Jimmy is telling you firsthand that if you change your mindset about these intangible skills, you will be way more successful than if you don't. Okay, so this video is about to end. You have one job. I want you to go straight from here onto Loop, and I want you to talk to yourself about what you just learned in this video. Do that. Let me know in the comments. Send me the link. Jimmy@myonlineguide.com.au. Send me the link. And the first person that does that, I will review your video that you made, and I'll give you some pointers on how to talk better, maybe some inflectional points, because it is a learned skill. I don't care what people say. Very few people have the gift of the gab out of the box. And the people that do have the gift of the gab out of the box, that if they do practice and they get better at talking, they're the people that become influential leaders in the space. So guys, practice your talking, because it's a very important skill to know how to do. And I'm looking forward to reviewing one of your videos. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't.